That's back on Michael Rosen. At school, we were doing a project. You know the kind of thing. The Vikings. Transport. Wood. Our project was the outside. There we were reading My Friend Hans from Outside the Walls. And suddenly our teacher, Miss Goodall, said there was a terrifying creature, this big face poking out from behind the walls. Oh no! The moment I dread when the Titans getting. So there we all were, sitting in our rows behind our desks, breathing very, very quietly. And he looked at our windmills. And then our canals. And he said, die, you island, dead fools. Then, suddenly, slap! His foot bangs against the wall really loud and made a great big hole. So me, I'm standing there all shaky and sorry and shuddery. It was then I remember my dad and my mum. So me and my brother ran home. But, and this is a big but, a great big chunk of the walls had squashed down home. And our mum. Oh no! The moment I dread when my mum was squashed. It was then I noticed the Titan opposite. She was watching me. She looked like she was starving. It was then I heard a funny noise. A weedy little voice. I locked the door. And then that really does it. Is that Dad? Would you believe it, the little pig? There's a Titan outside. And the door's jammed, I'll have to break it down. God, when I get inside, oh, he's gonna be in for big trouble. So I break down the door, slammed, and straight away I ran into my dad's room and bolted the door. There he is, sitting there. Suddenly, I remember, fuck. My brother was stuck outside. Me and Michael and my brother shouted. I tried to unlock the door. Brian, I can't unlock the door. The key stuck. He stops. Suddenly, there was an awful yelling and crying. There was the noise of flesh tearing, and my brother died. Oh no, this is horrible. So I start to sulk. I make my eyes go dim. I push my lips out to make myself look all rotten. And there's my dad, he's doing the same. Suddenly, my dad looked at me. He looked hypnotized. Then my dad took this conker out of his pocket. It was on the end of a string, and he starts swinging the conker to and fro in front of my eyes, and he starts up talking in this spooky voice. Watch the conker, go to sleep, go to sleep. And it went on for ages. Suddenly, I noticed the syringe in his hand, so I shouted out, what the fuck's in that syringe? And then he started crying, and I shoved it really hard and fast into my neck. I felt horrible. I can't stand it. It's hurting. I'm gonna wet myself. Suddenly, I became a terrifying creature, the fiercest animal. I was a Titan. Oh no! And that's where my dad was in really big trouble. He was trying very hard to get that key to work. Fiddle, riddle, diddle, diddle, fiddle, riddle, diddle. It's no good, he can't. I make my teeth cut into his flesh so the spinal fluid jumps into my mouth. But then there were dollops of brains hiding in the corner of the skull. Finger in, lick it. Tastes nice. Nice. Fantastic. But now, my mum, my dad, and my brother were all gone. They were all dead. Could be trouble. Suddenly, my Titan skin peeled off and my Titan flesh came off in soggy lumps. Anyway, then it was bedtime. I cried myself to sleep. At tea time the next day, we were having fruit salad. Suddenly, it appeared. Everyone in the cafe looked round. What's that? A big cloud of smoke poking out from behind the wall. Suddenly we all heard a terrible noise. There was an awful yelling and crying and someone shouting. So I ran out the door and looked to see what happened. There was a great big hole in the wall and a great big Titan. But this one had arm. Suddenly I felt veins bursting. That's when my brain starts doing things. you know, murderers and mad dog stuff. I'll tell you what I do. I cut into the flesh off my hand with my teeth. Suddenly, a blast of fire and lightning appeared around me, and my tight skin and my tight flesh stuck to my body. Suddenly, the titan slaps into my great big titan face. Would you believe it, the little pig? So I start roaring and eating his big face into a lovely, wet, grainy mush. But it was then I noticed there was no one on the inside. Fuck. The little fucking jizz stainy escaped. What is that noise? It was then I noticed the big woman dashing towards me. Quick! Get out! Get out of here! I try to pretend I'm not there. It's no good. I can't, because it isn't a dream. I don't know why. I thought that would work. So now I try to fight her. It's no good. I can't. She just smashes my face with her fist. I could feel my skull breaking. Oh no! And that's when I get into really big trouble. Me, I'm standing there all shaky and sorry and shuddery, but then I remember my dad and why he died. What he died for, so to speak. Suddenly, deep down inside, I felt rage towards the Titans, rage towards my dad, rage towards myself, and rage towards the world. Suddenly, I looked around. Bodies all over, hundreds and hundreds of them. In a second, two down. At that, I would just stand up, dust myself down, and slap. My fist hit her right on the nose when she just fell over. So I took the chance and climbed on top of her. It's because of you that all these poor people die. It's because of you that we're even in this mess. It's all because of you. Suddenly, I keeled over and started screaming and crying. But inside my tight body, I was smiling because my brain was doing things. You know, murderers and mad dog stuff. I'll tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking about murdering her, tearing her flesh into pieces, ripping them apart, and devouring them. Yeah, suddenly she goes and stands up. She just stands up and starts screaming. It was then I noticed the Titan army coming closer and closer towards me. Oh no! Suddenly, the Titans start eating her. I try to kill her. It's no good. I can't. There's hundreds and hundreds of Titans stuck to her. So I started roaring and eating all the Titans to death. By the time they were all dead, the woman was gone. So I started roaring again. My dad didn't die for this. My dad didn't sacrifice himself just for me to fail. Anyway, I failed, so it was bedtime. Not long after, a few days later, I'd sit up in bed, shaking and shuddering because I was traumatized. Blimey. Yeah, do you know, at the beginning of the week there were 1,480,000 people in Wall Harrybo. At the end of the week there were only 5 of them left. Yeah. Suddenly, a woman smashes down the door to my room, yelling about how I was some kind of never before seen hybrid. So I said, is it entirely unreasonable for me to assume that I'd maybe get a bit of privacy in my own room? So she said, yes. Suddenly, a man appeared. He was noticeably smaller. He turns to me and he goes, don't mind my dumb-ass colleague. I'm Nag Bag, and she's Wally Tellybrains. Anyway, we've heard all about your little beat down right after the fall of Wall Harrybo. The military police tried to hide everything for some reason. I don't think it's very impressive. So I said, that wasn't very nice. Actually, it was horrible. And so Nag Bag says, oh please, we're all glad you ran around poking a few of the shitheads who calls all this. But, and this is a big but, they still fucking did it. Suddenly, I hear a spooky voice from behind him. No need to mess with the kids. Not everyone is as stoic as you. Nag Bag. And he's coming back with us. Anyways, I'm Louielou Liar. By the way, I said, sorry, there's no way I'm coming with you. The man stepped out from the shadows from behind Nag Bag. He had huge eyebrows and a terrifyingly commanding presence. And he said, good thing I wasn't asking then. Then I said, and what happens if I become a titan again? Killed a lot of you and book it. Louielou Liar said, that's why I brought Nag Bag. He's a titan murderer. He's killed hundreds of titans, hundreds and hundreds of them, and on the chart of all that, I doubt you know about that power of yours any more than we do. So why don't you shut your mouth and come with us? Okay, I said, okay. I don't believe it, I really don't. I'm actually joining the Scouts. Louielou Liar was trying very hard not to look proud. And then he looked at me and said, the military police will want to make sure they get their greedy little fingers all over you. Why? Yes, it is because they're corrupt. But there's another reason, isn't there? Yes, Michael, because of their close ties with the king of the walls. Could be trouble. Anyway, then it was bedtime.